Hey everybody, what's up? Justin here. I know that there's been several of my videos that have been on this channel for a while of kind of a various different variety, but kind of gonna set the record straight here. Recently, I have had several developments in my life that are kind of interesting, and so I'm gonna start doing some kind of a true version of vlog on the channel. Literally a video log, not kind of done up. It's going to be pretty raw, pretty basic, but more or less I'm going to kind of give you a rundown of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So as I stated before, to those of you who do not know, my name is Justin. I'm 24 years old, I live in Utah, and I am a car guy through and through. I quite literally, as many people would say, bleed gasoline. I don't even think anybody says that. Anyways, whatever. I just said that, so there you go. But regardless, cars have been in my blood since I was a little kid. I can recall vividly just looking at pictures of things like a Spiker Zagato design, a Pagani Zonda, many kind of bedroom poster type cars, and just, you know, wanting one all day. And it hasn't slowed down ever since. My car in high school was a 1989 Mazda MX-6. By far and away not the sportiest of cars, but kind of a two-door sports type car nonetheless. And it's kind of just carried on from there. So long story short is, I've in one form or another always owned fun cars. My first one was a 1991 Audi 220 valve Avant. One of only 170 some odd examples here in the US. I sadly got rid of that, but I'm on a hunt to eventually get it back. My next car was a 2003 Audi S6 wagon, also an Avant in Audi speak. And I actually traded that in on the car that I currently have as the current daily, which is a 2018 Kia Stinger, which I actually have a channel that I run with somebody else, which has some content about that car. The channel's called Exhibitionist Speed, and that's going to be kind of more polished review type things that's going to go on. Like I said, this channel is going to mainly be my personal channel, and I'm just going to have some interesting things that I personally do. There's a few other cars that I haven't mentioned in there. There was a point in time when I owned a 2007 Ford F450. I'm actually going to set this down right here. Arm's getting tired from a heavy camera. I'm a weakling. There was a time that I owned a 2007 Ford F450 that I bought and flipped. I still currently have 3 other cars besides the Stinger, one of which you're actually sat in right now. Here, let me give you a little bit of a view of it. So this is the interior of my 1995 Audi S6, or URS6, as it's known in the community, which has the beautiful carbon trim that you can't see really well. Whatever. Camera's struggling hardcore right now. But I've had this car for approaching 3 years at this point, and it's currently on jack stands awaiting a suspension rebuild. I also have a car which I actually have featured on the channel before in one of my most famous videos, which I'm going to assume is probably where some people will come from, which is my 1988 Saab 900 SPG. Which is over 300,000 miles. I bought it in Boston, drove it all the way across the country, absolutely loved the car, and I've loved every minute of owning it and the community behind it. I also acquired not too long ago a car that I'm probably going to try to sell just because I need cash and space for other things, which is a 1988 Mazda 929. Mazda's very first attempt at a luxury car. That car came from a local who owned it all the way up until late 2017 when they sold it to my friend, who only drove it for a few months and then gave it to me on trade for another car. It's in gorgeous physical condition, but it just needs some mechanical love. It runs and drives, but it's a very loose term. It needs a lot. So that's kind of where my situation is right now. Now on to kind of why I wanted to start doing these vlogs. So it's been a dream of mine for many, many years to be I guess you could say, the maker of my own destiny, and try to more or less run my own business in one form or another. It's not to say I believe everything has to be completely independent. You need a good team of people to run anything. But it's always been my dream to be an entrepreneur. So for the past almost 2 years, about 1.5 years, I have worked as a fleet manager for a company here locally, for a trucking company, managing and kind of help that company grow from the ground up. I just ended up getting in contact with the owner right as he purchased out another company, and it grew like wildfire from about 5 trucks to about almost 70 pieces of equipment in a year and a half. I mean, just explosive growth, a fantastic opportunity, and something that I am overly grateful for being a part of, and was actually quite difficult to leave. I did film something on the day that I knew I was going to leave, but I think I'm going to keep that private because there was a bit of emotions running there due to some other situations, which have been buried. Water's under the bridge. It's all good now, and I have no reason to necessarily reveal on those, despite the fact that they were triggers at the time. But it was at that moment that I realized, you know what, now's the time. With as much as with how much I've put my boundaries at that company, and how much I experience and knowledge I gained, I realized that right now is the time for me to try to get something going. I'm 24, so I'm still young. I have no wife, no girlfriend, no significant other, no kids, no real reason to hold back. In fact, right now is quite honestly the perfect time to be doing something like this. So that leads us to now. About 2 weeks ago, I had my last day of that job. Actually, 2 weeks ago from 2 days from now, which would have been, I'm unprepared. Let me, just for the fun of it, give some exact context to this. Today is Friday, April 12th. My last day at the company was Sunday, March 31st. Ever since then, I have basically during my last week there, I kind of was contemplating how I was going to make money, because sadly I'm not independently wealthy. I can't survive without income. I wouldn't say that I'm running paycheck to paycheck, but I'm not necessarily that far above that. I don't necessarily have months and months of money stocked away to go, so I had to find something to do. I ended up settling on using my Kia to do Uber and Lyft, which is something up until recently I probably would have never considered. However, I've actually been enjoying it very well, and it's been enough to pay the bills. I haven't actually, ironically, I'm making a little more, I think, even after fuel's taken into consideration, just based on the fact that I can kind of work a little extra, whereas at the previous job I was salary, which was had its own benefits. And so far, that's been doing very well. I haven't had any bad experiences. Had some funny ones for sure, and I've already had a few things, kind of lost and found left in the car. But so I'm kind of on a journey right now. I more or less left a pretty good paying job that was definitely a very easy recipe for success if I wanted to stay there and work my butt off, and kind of made a lot of people scratch their heads. Even myself to a degree. But it felt like the right thing to do. I had even the owner of the company kind of confused as to why it was happening, but the long story short is I've always been somebody who wants to, who's always had a lot of ideas. And for a time I was pretty nervous to really attempt them. I for a while didn't have much faith in myself on if I could do it, despite the fact I knew I could think of the ideas and kind of find ways to do them. I didn't know if I didn't have the, we'll say it just bluntly, I didn't have the balls to go out and just do it, because I feared that I didn't have the experience. But I learned over the past year and a half at the previous company that what needed to happen was just, there's no way to truly know unless you just go do it. You do what research you can, do it in the smartest way possible based on that research, but there's no way around just getting out there, getting your hands dirty and doing it. So that's where we're at. I'm currently doing something as an interim, which luckily gives me free time to set something up. At the moment, it's looking like that will most likely be car detailing, which is kind of a little bit of a difficult thing because it's a fairly flooded market here in Utah. There's a lot of people. It's kind of a difficult thing to get into. Luckily, I do have a lot of friends and family that I think I can connect with pretty well to get that done. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. But I've already got kind of a game plan to get that down, which is to kind of just start doing it on the side slowly as I'm doing Uber. Kind of use Uber as a filler for times when I don't have anything scheduled or can't find any extra work. And then anytime that I'm doing pretty good as far as money-wise, try to just take it completely off of Uber and go and just sell myself. And that's the reason why I want to do these vlogs. It's kind of going to be my my path to entrepreneurship and what goes along the way. And I'm going to, again, keep it pretty raw and pretty blunt. I'm not going to sit here and be editing things out. More of it's going to be pretty much straight to the camera, just like this. I don't necessarily want to make it polished in any way, shape, or form. I appreciate kind of raw videos where it's your initial impressions and the things you say at first are quite often the things that you meant. And after you think, you kind of tend to cauterize those things a little bit more. But I like it, I like kind of the dialogue and everything a little more raw, and hopefully, you guys do as well. So that's that. There'll probably be a little more things here along the way as well, maybe some garage updates, some life updates. I'm currently, one of the worries about this, just to kind of give you one of the scary parts about this, is that for the last little while, I kind of left this job, which is the one possible thing of collateral damage, right before I was going to buy the house that I'm actually sitting in. I have an agreement that was planned on being culminated August of this year with me purchasing out the house. Now, that becomes a difficult thing when I just left my regular income source before I even had 2 years there. So that's what I'm going to have to kind of think around, and you know what? It's going to make me sad if I lose the house. I love the house and I really, really want it, and it would be a very good deal, but I would rather set myself up for success. So again, that'll all be part of this, and we'll kind of see what goes on. Yeah, that's really about it. For right now, just stay tuned, and I wish everybody the best. Take care, guys.